Here's Wikipedia. They say it's a conspiracy theory. Wikipedia still says it's a conspiracy theory that global government's being set up, even as it's admitted. I'm not going to have time to read all of this. It's so huge. One arm of this system, the Atmospheric Radiation Measurement Arm Program, was created in 1989 with funding from the U.S. Department of Energy, DOE, Department of Defense, Department of Energy, and is sponsored by the DOE's Office of Science and Management by the Office of Biological and Environmental Research. But that's okay that we have links to the government admitting it, because they say it's a conspiracy at Wikipedia. Again, announcing anything the government doesn't want out, even if it's admitted in plain view, is not allowed, because they control reality. They said so. They're the government. Oh, yeah, Wikipedia, sure. One of ARM's programs, called Indirect and Semi-Direct Aerosol Campaign, is aimed at measuring cloud simulations and aerosol retrievals. And they test the aluminum dioxide and everything else in the sky, and they've got the patents on mixing it in with the jet fuel. Another program under the Department of Energy's Atmospheric Science Program is directed towards developing comprehensive understanding of the atmospheric process. Oh, it just goes on and on with all the admissions, and the global dimming, and the Council on Foreign Relations calling for global, unilateral, whether you like it or not, global weather manipulation. It's about the global bankers. Goldman Sachs has come out, and others, and they're developing on the Chicago Mercantile, where if you don't pay your IMF and World Bank bills, third world country, they shut your water off with this. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. Even in the summer now here in Texas. There aren't as many insects around the country as there were a few years ago. The bees are all dying. Some areas, they're all dead. They're genetically splicing every species, playing God, and then lecturing us all day about how we need to pay Al Gore and Lord Rothschild and others carbon tax money. And this article Paul put together, I contributed some, so he stuck my name on there. He gets into the Council on Foreign Relations, geoengineering workshop on unilateral planetary scale geoengineering, where they talked about chemtrailing. They don't call it that. They call it geoengineering. And, of course, it's exactly what the conspiracy theorist tested 15, 16, 17 years ago. Then they've got KSLA News. They've got universities and the government of Louisiana. They've all gone up and done their own test and said, yes, barium salts, aluminum dioxide, sulfur, at levels in some cases hundreds of times safe, but generally, let's go over it. A KSLA TV investigation found that substances that fell to Earth from a high-altitude chemtrail contain high levels of barium, 6.8 ppm, and lead, 8.2 ppm, as well as trace amounts of other chemicals, including arsenic, chromium, cadmium, selenium, and silver. Of these, all but one are metals. Some are toxic, while several are rarely or ever found in nature. It goes on to say in the newscast that barium, which is in research is the hallmark of chemtrails, they found the samples were, again, more than 6 times the toxic level set by the EPA. And they've got reports out of poison control. They've got university studies, state studies. And a lot of scientists are going, yeah, there is something going on. What are you doing? And it's exactly what's being done on these programs. And it's huge. Again, ladies and gentlemen, there's more going on than Justin Bieber. There's more going on than football. And it's exhausting fighting as hard as I do. It's exhausting reading all this. I don't want to do it. I want to have a softball radio show and talk about mindless issues or take your phone calls. I can't. And I can't mince words. I can't back off. I can't not tell the truth. I've got to warn people. It talks about all the horrible things aluminum's doing to people. It goes over why they're doing it. It's global government. It's population reduction. It's playing God. It's being able to shut down water supplies to entire regions, entire continents. This is an incredibly well-researched article. I only read about half of it. It's up at Infowars.com and Prisonplanet.com right now. And undoubtedly, I see that each one of our tweets has been retweeted by hundreds and hundreds of other people. It won't say the actual number. It says our latest tweet, help us expose chemtrails and geoengineering. Go to Infowars.com, was retweeted by 100 plus. If others retweet that, even if they block us out of the top rankings, it will reach a lot of people, and they'll say, what's chemtrails? What's geoengineering? What's Infowars.com? I have children. A lot of you have children. The neurological disorders, just type into Google, neurological disorders exploding. I mean, it's just everywhere. The level of metals in people's brains. It's in the food, the water, the deodorant, the cosmetics, and now they're spraying it on us. The life expectancy is now dropped in the U.S. It's plunging in other areas. This is hardcore what's going on. All right. I just done 2 hours of ranting information, trying to wake people up desperately. We're going to come back with hour number 3 and take nothing but your phone calls, I promise. I promise we'll do nothing but your phone calls with interspersed news, technically. But I'm going right to your calls. Stay with us. All right, Julio, John, Michael, Casey, Michael, we're getting to all of you. And then we'll continue with your phone calls throughout this third hour. I've covered the global government takeover. I've covered the latest Penn State outrages. I got a bunch of other military and Iran news we'll get to. But let's go to your calls right now. Let's talk to Julio in Illinois. Julio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Man, Alex, it's crazy times, my friend. Good talking to you as always. First off, comment on Ron Paul, then to weather mod. It's outrageous. Is it surprising that Ron Paul in a 1-hour debate got 89 seconds? That just goes to show you in a foreign policy, national security debate, they did not want the sheeple to hear the truth about what's really going on. You saw in the debate where it was like the third question in, Paul mentioned no WMDs in Iraq, and then they said, well, this guy cannot speak.
Well, listen, when I talk to Ron Paul on air later this week or next week, I'm going to tell him, sir, it's time for you to complain in the next debate because it's not bad sportsmanship. They're clearly cheating him, giving him 1/100th the time the other people are getting. It's ridiculous. And in every poll where he wins, they then pull him out as the winner and then show number 2 as number 1. We've gotten proof of that coming out tonight on the nightly news. I mean, but again, this is the criminal ruling class trying to get people in the dark, to keep us in the dark. If they'll steal our bank accounts, if they'll ship drugs in, if they'll chemtrail us, if they'll take our blood secretly at birth, as they've now been caught, if they'll take people's children to give them to pedophile rings, and you're 17 times more likely to be a child abuser if you work for the CPS, that's in our mainstream article we posted last week, 5 times more likely to be physically beaten, 17 times more likely to be raped by these people. I mean, think about it. This is a criminal group who is almost completely kicked good people out of the system and is going to be 100% a legion of hell spawn, okay, with PR and propaganda and giant armies of black uniformed fluoride heads injecting steroids who don't know what planet they're on. I mean, we are in trouble, like people in Nazi Germany in 1939 or people in Russia in the 30s or 40s. I mean, we are literally circling doom. And I'm like hitting our retro rockets saying, get us out of the black hole. There's still time to escape. And I've got the yuppies going, shut up, shut him up. This is wonderful what's happening. And we're just sliding into the abyss here.
That's crazy, Alex. It's really, it just goes to show you that people like to be con. Neocons think, oh, Newt Gingrich is our savior. Yes, Mr. Bohemian Grove is going to save us from this hellhole. Now on weather modification, Alex, I saw this document from the Agriculture Defense Coalition, a list of PDF spreadsheets of weather modifications activities from 2011 all the way, I think, to 2004. And I'm looking at the 2011 one currently.
Do me a favor. Will you send that? Will you send that to Aaron with 2 A's at Infowars.com? I think he may have that one, but tell folks the search name so we can find it.
Just look up Agriculture Coalition Defense, and it has from the NOAA spreadsheets listing ongoing weather modification programs in the U.S. It's outrageous, Alex. I'm looking at this document, and some of it states that it's being sponsored by the state of Nevada, one from Wyoming, January through April, 13 days, Weather Modification Incorporated.
No, I've seen those, actually. That's the hundreds of big companies, in some cases, that have as many as 50, 60 planes that are pretty big jets and fixed wing that do snow for snow resorts and stuff. That's all under the radar, too, and they get hired out by the government some as well. Then there's the larger Department of Energy programs where they have the stuff mixed with the jet fuel. We just found that. Thank you so much. Good point to raise, Julio. All right, always good points from Julio. John, Michael, Casey, Michael, many others. Your calls are straight ahead, 800-25-9931.
Facts of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
The scientific technocratic elite by the mid-1850s published white papers publicly admitting that they saw humankind as a disease, echoing the words of Malthus 100 years before, and that they would establish a global government through the British Empire to carry out a scientific dictatorship for the orderly extermination of the world population. Now the New World Order looks down upon us from space with their spy satellites, their tracking systems where all human activity is being chronicled. The planet is being turned into an artificial habitat with weather control, ground-based radar systems manipulating the atmosphere and interacting with aircraft-injected aerosol systems. This can be used, of course, to manipulate weather fronts and storms. It can also be used to cut off the water supply to countries that don't pay their IMF World Bank loans, pay back their loan sharking impossible-to-pay fees. It can be used against countries that are enemies of the globalist. The Pentagon, by 1964, certified Stanford Research Institute that they could create hurricanes, steer hurricanes, make them stronger or weaker, or kill them. Oh, but they couldn't protect you from Katrina. The globalists, under their shadow government system, have stolen tens of trillions of our energy credits. They've stolen our energy through the fiat banking system to build this scientific dictatorship. They are now looking down upon us. They see us as absolute trash that are infecting their planet, and they want us out of the way. If we have any hope of defeating these people, we have to wake up to the full horror. We have to study the globalist elite and their sadistic, control-freak ways. We have to understand their programs and their propaganda. We have to totally detach ourselves from their false reality projection system that's meant to capture us in their false reality. We must study and look for the truth of the scientific dictatorship and then begin at point-blank range at every level, pulling ourselves out of the system. Because the globalists are still dependent on our energy and on our labor to fund themselves. They're rapidly racing towards purely robotic factories in China, as Foxconn just came out with, that will be maintenance by robots, where the robots will do the building, where robots will do the delivery, where robot Google trucks will deliver the goods. They're probably 10 years away from